For your pattern piece, we are making Simplicity's kimono pattern in view B. You'll follow all the directions on your envelope to get what you need. So then you're going to cut all your pieces for your corresponding size. And then the first part is you're going to take number 8 and you're going to place it on the fold and you're going to cut 2 of those out. Next you're going to place kimono back on your fabric. This is number 2, and you are going to cut 2 of these out. Now you're going to take piece 7, which is the lower skirt, and you're going to place it on the fold and you're going to cut 2 of these out. I'm going to place pattern number 6, which is the upper skirt, and you're going to cut 2 of those on the fold. Okay, next step is to take your fabric and you're going to open it all up and you're going to match your selvages together so it's this big thick piece, because if you had it in the other way where it was folded, where the 2 selvages were touching, the one white side and the purple side, then your sleeves will be too short. So next part is your sleeve here, and you're going to pin it on the fold, and you're going to cut this out, and then you're going to cut another one up there. Take the top layer of fabric off, and you're going to place your kimono front with the pattern facing down, and then you're going to cut this out, and you're going to cut one, and then one in the opposite direction with the pattern sticking up. You might have to use your other sheet of fabric if you do not have enough on this current one. Cut my other piece on my other piece of fabric. I had to fit it so that it would work, so it was kind of like a puzzle. So now that you have 2 of those out, the next part is to cut out our number 11. This is the casing parts. Alright, so you'll cut 2 of those out, I think, like the same way we did with our kimono front. Take your second to longest piece of fabric. Now we are going to be cutting out number 10, which is the lower skirt ruffle, and you will need to cut 3 of these on the fold. So you're going to place one here, one here, one here. So 3 down the row. You're going to take piece 5 and you're going to place it along the fold. You're going to cut, but don't cut this. You're going to flip it over and have it go down to that end. So don't cut this part, flip the pattern over to cut. You've cut to about here with the one side. You're going to flip it over, pin your other end, and now you are going to cut this out here. And then you're going to do it again right next to it. You're going to take pattern 3, and this is the neckband, and you're going to cut 4, so you're going to place one there, and then one going this way. We're going to take pattern piece number 9, and this is the middle skirt ruffle, and we're going to do it like we did before. So you're going to pin it, and then you're going to flip it over, and you're going to cut. It says cut 2, so there's 2 layers of fabric, so you're cutting 2 layers of fabric, so you technically only need to cut 1 out. To be doing our waist clencher, this is pattern piece 12. This is the front part. You're going to cut 1 here, and you're going to cut 1 underneath it. So you're going to cut 2 of those out on the fold. You're going to take pattern 14, which is waist clencher back, and you're going to cut 4 of these out, 2 and 2. You're going to do the same thing to number 15. This is waist clencher side back. You're going to cut 4 out of those. We'll cut 4 out in number 13, which is the waist clencher side front. Next part, we're going to cut out our interfacing in our thick interfacing for our waist clencher. So you're going to take pattern 14, and you're going to cut 2 out of your interfacing. You're going to do the same thing for pattern 15, cut 2. And then for your center, you're going to cut 1 on the fold, and that's number 12. And then you're going to cut 2 with number 3 for your waist clencher. The next, we're going to cut out our neckband on our light fusible interfacing. You're taking pattern piece 5, and you're going to do the same thing like we did with our regular fabric. So you're going to pin it, cut to here, stop, and fold it over, and continue to cut. This is the lightweight fusible interfacing, and this is pattern number 5, and this is the sleeves band. Now you're going to take pattern number 3 in your size, and you're going to pin, and you're going to cut 2 of these out, and that'll be it for our interfacing. Next step is to take your patterns and mark all of your dots. Like right here's some dots, right here's some dots, and some triangles if you didn't cut them out when you cut. And you can either do as you go. So like say the first part is your front and back, so if you just want to mark your front and back, or if you want to take all your garments and mark everything with your chalk, then you can do that. What I do is I stick like a pin and then I go to the back and then I mark it that way. Or you could do it individually. Alright, so do that to your pieces now. Take kimono front, which I believe is pattern number 1, and we're going to do some stay stitching. What you're going to do is you're going to set your machine to your highest stitch. Mine is particularly 4. And then you're going to see how this edge is flat here. You're going to go where we put our dot. So, as you see in your instructions, you're going to take the front and go right there. Do the same thing to your back, except you're only going to be doing this neck part here. Alright, the next step is our little ribbon here. It says to cut 2 pieces of 1/4 wide ribbon, 12 inches long, so each of your pieces are going to be 12 inches long. And for ties, it says pin ties to right side of right front and wrong side of left front, centering them over small dot at side edges, having raw edges even based. Based means the long stitch, and just keep it in place. So you're going to put your garment like sort of on you and figure out which side is the right side and which side is the left side. So one is going to go on the outside of your fabric and one's going to go in the left side, the wrong side of your fabric, which is the inside, and you're going to pin that. So I have it pinned here, and now I have to do the one to the inside. Now you're going to take your back pieces and you're going to fold the center, you're going to sew the center back seam, so it looks like this, and you're going to sew that all the way to your end. This is the flat side of, you need to put right sides together, which means the 2 fancy sides together. You're going to take your front and your back and you're going to put right sides together, and you are matching the small dots. This is your shoulder seam, so it's this piece right here, so you're going to sew that. So now we are going to sew on our sleeves. So you're going to have your giant triangle. Make sure you mark both sides, otherwise this is going to be very confusing. And then you're going to have a dot, and then another triangle, and then the dot. So we're matching this center with our shoulder seam, and then the 2 triangles, and then our 2 dots. And you're going to mark your kimono really well too. I'll show you that in a second. So you have, this is the bodice part, so this is your dot, your 2 triangles, which is the triangle here, another dot, and then matching your dots. I'll show you what that looks like. So when you get your bodice part, you're going to take the part that is the curved part. So this is the shoulder seam. So we're matching triangle with triangle, dot with dot, dot with dot, triangle, and then dot with dot. So you're going to pin dot to dot, triangle to triangle, center dot. This is the shoulder seam, and then your sleeve is underneath. Directions for step 3, which we just pinned. It says with right sides together, pin sleeve 4, to kimono matching small dots, stitch between outer small dots, back stitch to reinforce seam. So you're gonna, that's this one right here. So if you can kind of see, these are our triangles, our 2 big triangles, and our dots at the end, right there. During step 4, it says pin front back at entire underarm seam, matching seams and small dots. Stitch entire underarm seam and lower edge of sleeve, breaking stitching at small dot. Back stitch at small dots to reinforce seam. Trim corners, clip curves, and then you're going to do a narrow hem at the bottom. So you're going, basically what that is saying is you're going to take from your bottom all the way up to your underarm seam. You're going to match the dots, and then you're going to pin down your sleeve and the way over. You're going to sew that, and you're going to stop at the dot, back stitch, cut the thread, and then start again down your sleeve. Clip your curve, but do not cut into your thread because you'll cut it. So you're just going to make little snips, and then you're going to, around the corner where your kimono is pointed, or here, you're gonna trim close to the point, but don't cut the thread. And do that to the other side. So you're gonna iron this at 5/8, and then you're gonna tuck this edge underneath, and you're gonna go all the way at the edge of your bottom and all the way to it. This is where your diagonal curve begins, and this is that flat side. So you're gonna sew that, and then I'll tell you what's. You're gonna apply interfacing to 2 of your neck bands. This is pattern 3, and then you're gonna take your large triangle back seam and match the back seam. So the next is to pin your interfacing piece, matching your center with your center back seam, and then going all the way down to the corner of your kimono. And then you're going to sew that. So after you've sewed your neckband to your neck, you're going to press it up, and then you're going to take the seam and press it towards the interfacing. Now we're going to work on the facing part of this. What you're going to do is you're going to sew like we did before. You're going to match our end, and then you're going to sew this end, and I'll show you what's next. Put right sides together and sew your neckband here. Unless your pattern states what other your hem is going to be. I believe this is still at 5/8, so we're going to sew that at 5/8, unless your pattern piece tells you to sew it at a different. Now we're on direction number 8, so it looks like this. It says stitch center back seams of neckband facing. Press under 1/2 inch on notched edge of facing. Trim to 1/4. With right sides together, pin facing to neckband, matching centers and small dots. Stitch front and neck edges together. Trim seams and corners. So we're going to take the notched end, which I believe is the triangle ends of our pattern piece or our fabric, and you're going to press it at a 1/2 inch. So I ironed my edge up a 1/2 inch, and then I took my tape measure or your ruler, and you're going to find the 1/4, and then I drew a line. You can either eyeball it when you cut it, or you can draw the line and cut it. So you want to make sure you get that good. Alright, so you're going to cut this line or whatever you did to get to your 1/4 mark. Your edge should look something like this. Now you're going to match your center with your center of the other neckband piece. You're going to put right sides together, and then you're going to stitch along the edges. I'll show you how that looks like in a sec. Section is the edge, so you're going to sew up and over and then down your other edge. Next thing, it says trim seams and corners. Next you're going to turn this right side facing out, so you're going to pull this part over, and then you're going to press it, and then I'll tell you. Direction number 9, it says turn facing inside, press edges facing over the grooves of the band sleeve, catching pressed edges to face on the underside. Cut 2 pieces. So we're going to stitch in the groove of the band seam, catching pressed edge facing on underside. So you're going to place your pins in on this side, and you're going to try to stitch as close as you can to this edge or in the groove, or they say the ditch sometimes. And then I'll take you what's next. It will look like this. If you had missed a spot, you can go back over it with your sewing machine so that all your edges are sewn in. And now we're going to cut, let's see. Now it wants us to cut 2 pieces of 1/4 wide ribbon, 12 inches like the other one, for ties, and then you're going to put them on the inside. Pin ties, front ends, neckband, turning under 1/4 edge. Hand sew tie in place securely, and careful not to sew through outer layer shown. So it looks like we're going to be sewing it to our little flap here, one on, let's see, so it's going to be on the reversed side of, so the right side of the band, but the wrong side of the fabric. You're going to get out your hand sewing needles. If you don't have them, that's fine. So you're only going to go through a single layer of your material, so you're only doing like this part, and you're just gonna go in and out, in and out, in and out, and over and through the center. And this is about 12 inches, so you're gonna cut 2 of those and sew them on the corners of your kimono. Take your sleeve band and you're gonna put one of your interfacing is on one side and one of your interfacings on your other piece. We're going to be doing this the same way as our neck, except instead of sewing 2 pieces together, it is one continuous piece. So you're going to put your lightweight fusible interfacing on your pieces, and then you are going to take your ends and you're going to put right sides together, and you're going to sew those together at 5/8, and then I'll take you to the next is to press open your seam, and then you're going to take your interfacing one and you're going to put right sides together with your sleeve and you're going to stitch all the way around. Forgot to read you the instructions for step 10, so that's what the photo looks like. It says apply interfacing to sleeve band 5. Stitch ends of band in a seam with right sides together. Stitch band to lower edge of sleeve. Matching seams, press seam toward band. So you're going to press the band, the seam this way, and then I'll take you to the next. If you were doing view C, then you would do 11 and 12. Now we're going to step 13, which is to stitch ends of sleeve band facing, press under 1/2 on notched edge of facing, trim to 1/4 with right sides together, stitch facing the band, matching seams. So, right there's the instructions. Press this at half. This is like what we did for our neckband, and then you're going to take your 1/4 and you're going to draw a line all the way down or eyeball it and then cut that out. So you'll take your tape measure, hold on a sec, so my 1/4 is right where this metal tip is, so you're just going to take it and place it on your thing and just draw a line, and it's like the neckband, so we're going to do that again. After you have it all pressed open and sewn together at 5/8, the next step is you're going to turn, so step 14 is next. Oh wait, hold on. Alright, so never mind. You're going to put right sides together on your interfaced band right here with what we just did, matching the center seam and pinning all the way around, and then you're going to sew that together. So what I mean is you're going to take your band, you're going to put right sides together on your interfacing, and this part is not going to be sewn, so you're just going to leave this going this way because you're going to be flipping it over and sewing it on the other side. So make sure you pin the edge that's not folded over to your interfacing side. Now you're going to trim seams. You're going to cut a little bit of this off, probably not too much, just a little bit. You see how my interfacing here is, so you're going to probably cut about that much off from there to there. So you're going to trim that. Just don't get really close to this edge because it's possible that you could poke through. So leave leeway space. So it goes to about 1/4 of it. If you feel confident enough, you could place your pins in here and sew along the ditch, thinking you can get all the edges. But I'm preferably comfortable sewing this. It's going to look weird on the other side, but for a professional way, you're just going to sew it in the little edge there after it's sewn in. So that's the next step.